Margie TV. How are you? Good morning to you. It's afternoonish here. So I hope you're doing well, and thank you for joining me. Eddie Bragg Jr. is, let's see here. We hope it's a step in the right direction for foreigners like me that are eager to get back to the Philippines and marry. Oh, great. Well, I feel your pain, my friend. I do. I know lots of other guys, to be honest, who very much are wanting to get to the Philippines and get married or be reunited with their common law wives. So that's another factor, a lot of guys that live over there are married common law. So therefore they can't go back on the Balikbayan visa, and they got trapped here and been away from their families for all this time. And that's a real hardship. The question is, or what I thought today when I started to read some of this was because maybe Margie remembers this, but we actually plan to move to the Philippines in a couple of months as part of my goal there, Eddie. And we'll go back on the Balikbayan, but I really don't want to spend even one day in quarantine versus right now in Cebu. I think it's up to 3 to 5, depending on how fast they get the swab test back. So my hope is maybe they'll do a practice run with people like us. We'll go, okay, if you've been vaccinated, paperwork's in order, you can come on back to the Philippines under the green lane or whatever they're going to call this process. And if that works well, maybe they will open this back up for tourists. So without you guys having to be quarantined either. So that's part of my thought and hopes, and part of what I was wondering if anybody else had any thoughts on that. I don't know if Margie has any thoughts on what she thinks is going to happen, if they're going to approve it. I know it's in the developmental stages at the moment. I don't know how I think the Philippines elections are next year. I don't know how that plays into this. Yep. At this point, you'd be willing to go through a few days of quarantine, just be with their, yeah. And I get that. I do. I get that. And I tell you what, in all fairness, when I was in your shoes 7 or 8 years ago, I would have done exactly the same. Eddie, if you want, I dropped the link to the StreamYard. You can click on that, or Margie could click on it. You're welcome to come up into the panel. So I don't blame you for that. I was in your situation. A lot of us have been in your situation. And, when that relationship clicks like Lorelai and I's did, I had no problems getting to the Philippines as soon as my schedule would allow, which, I was teaching at the time, so I had to go on Christmas break. So I'm with you. Lorelai and I being married now for 7 years, and the fact that we're taking dogs with us to move to the Philippines, and I have some questions about the quarantine. How does that actually work? So here's Chuck. He's not seen his fiance for 15 months. We're 2 weeks away from our final interview at the embassy of our K1. Oh my God. Chuck, I am so sorry. Oh man. brother, I feel, oh my God, Chuck, I am so, so, so sorry. Oh, Jesus. Sorry guys, but that one sucks. Because I've been through the K1 visa process. So, been there, done that with the K1 visa. And I couldn't imagine all the time, all the money, all the paperwork, all the headache that we have to go through to make this happen, and then for it to get shut down before. Chuck, is there any words on your K1 process now being restarted? Is it being reactivated? You got to start over? I don't know what's happening in that world. Are you trying to wait until you got to go back and start the process over? Because we know to fill out the K1, you shouldn't have to go back. You should be able to, if they make you start it over, just to start it over. But that's what I worry about. Is I told my wife the other day, I said, well, I really like to know more about how the quarantine process works in detail, because I'm one of those guys that want to know everything about everything. Yeah, Chuck, Eddie's going through a similar thing. So it's been almost 2 years for them guys. So my wife is from Cebu, guys. I don't know where your fiancés are from, but mine's from Cebu. And we plan on moving to the Philippines full time, is the process we're in. So if there's anything I can help you guys with, man, I sure be more than happy to help you figure out things. But I feel y'all's pain. I do, and early on, so I can relate, guys, because look, early on, when we did our K1 visa process, I didn't know very much about it. I didn't. We're self-taught. And Lorelei asked me if we get denied for our K1 visa, what do we do? And I still had my teaching at that time. Sorry about the dogs, guys. I still was a full-time professor, at the time. And so my career was going really well. But I told her, I said, if you can't come here, I will quit, retire early, and come to you. So I get that loneliness, that longing to be with the other one. So Eddie's is from Kidapong. I probably won't even pronounce that right, because I can't. My wife makes so much fun at me for not being able to pronounce things right. Leyte, so I can pronounce that one correct. So Chuck, you're a teacher too. Cool. So great. Yeah. And I got several friends, in this world that are retiring now and waiting for this to open back up so they can make their move. And I got other guys that are 1 year away, 2 years away, 3 years, 4 and 5 years away, and putting together a plan. And that's what we've done. We've been working the last few years to put a plan together for our move. And then, of course, COVID hit, and that kind of screwed up everything. Yep, and hopefully the end of July, if not sooner. I don't think tourism is going to happen before. I hate to say this, guys, because I got other friends that are in the same boat. I don't think they're going to open up the tourist borders until October. That's just my feeling, and why I say that. And there is a little bit of logic behind this. You guys have been to the Philippines, or how the Philippines work a little bit. The Burr months are Christmas season. Well, that's a big time season and moneymaker in the Philippines. Tourism, a lot of expats from Europe, America, they want to go to the warm weather for the winters. So I got a feeling, I'm hoping that they will decide to get this green lane implemented that will allow people to come over starting in October. That's just my guess. Just my guess. And yeah, you know, I've done a whole bunch of videos on planning to go to the Philippines, about moving there, financial strategies, because it's very important for me to make sure that we have plenty of money to live on, that, our banking situations are taken care of so that we can get our money in America to the Philippines and not in, there's a lot of moving financial parts to living in the Philippines as a foreigner, because some of the things we don't want to do is give up our citizenship. We don't want to give up our financial ties to the United States because they're stronger and healthier for us. The more money you save, this is something my wife and I debate. I'm one of these guys that I want to accumulate. I've told her, I want to accumulate the biggest ball of money that I can for that when we go over there in a few months to sit in the bank. That's my goal. Hey, Simon, my friend, how are you? Everybody say hi to Simon. Simon's a good friend from over across the pond. So I want to accumulate the largest amount of money in the bank as humanly possible for us. That doesn't mean a lot to my wife. She doesn't care. She's like, So, Simon, I'm going to drop the link. You're welcome to come up and visit in the chat. Eddie or Chuck or anybody else is always welcome to come up. Don't make fun of the wanker. Don't make fun of the wanker. But saving as much money as you guys can is crucial, I believe, and having a good financial base. We all know that we can live a lot cheaper in the Philippines than we can in America. But still, somebody said one time, you got to remember, if you only have $1,000 a month in America, you still only have $1,000 in the Philippines. So if you don't make the appropriate adjustments, you're not going to be any better off wherever you're at. So, Simon, Ramrod, have you guys saw the latest about the green lane? I thought I would bring that up in a topic today to see what we thought about it. If we think it's going to happen, if it's going to change the quarantine rules, if it's going to allow, people like Eddie and Chuck to get back to their loved ones. I don't know what it means. So that's what we're talking about today, guys. Simon says, need that little pot of reserve in case of emergency. Yeah. To be honest, guys, what I'm doing is I'm having an emergency fund, and then separate from this other initial stash of money that I'm trying to hide, or not hide, but hey, Joe, good to see you there, brother. Say hello to everybody. Everybody say hello to Joe. He's a good friend from up in Missouri. We're talking about the green lane, the proposed green lane, Joe. And I'm not trying to hide money, but I just want to have, all I can have. It's very risky to keep money in Philippine banks. They do have a version of the FDIC, but the amounts are much, much lower. And I've done a video on banking, or my opinion about how to bank in the Philippines. And we're going to have Philippine bank accounts. And yes, we're going to transfer money monthly over, whether we take it through. Well, what I did is I opened a Charles Schwab account, to be honest, guys. I would open up a Charles Schwab account. It pays me back any ATM fees. It's an international bank. They work overseas with you. If you need a card sent to you in the Philippines, they will mail you your check card to you in the Philippines. So I've actually opened a Charles Schwab account, and we'll be using them a lot. Eddie saying hello to Ramrod. Joe is putting some money in the BDO bank. So the last time we checked into this, banking in the Philippines is pretty simple. You got to be a resident pretty much to open up a bank in the Philippines. I think what I said in one of my videos is we will have 2 Philippine bank accounts. We'll have one that are our Philippine money, not all of our American money. So we're going to leave money over here in America. And then we're going to put money up here in the Philippines. So we're going to divide our assets. And I'm going to put a much smaller amount in the Philippines in an account. I'm going to have a separate account where I pay, like let's say if I have a car payment in the Philippines, that every month that car payment will come out of a smaller account that I'll transfer money into so that I don't have to worry accidentally about somehow more money coming out of my account than I anticipated. I will also utilize wire transfer. So when we buy a house there, I don't want to finance it. I want to pay cash. So I'll be able to wire transfer money with Charles Schwab for zero cost. Zero cost is what they tell me. To my Philippine bank, then I can write a check off the Philippine account to pay for the property. So there's a lot into it, but guys, you're exactly right. You want to, so we might leave 75% in American banks and 25% in the Philippine banks. And then of course our monthly income has to go into an American bank and be withdrawn or transferred into a Philippine bank as we need it. So exactly right. So BDO is a good bank, Joe. You got that right. So Ramrod here, Eddie and them guys are missing their fiancés. And yeah, Ramrod says that his bank here wants $35 per transfer to the Philippines. Exactly. I bank with regions also. I live in Arkansas. This whole region, the southern region. And when I talked to them about it, the reason I'm closing out my regions and went with Charles Schwab is because they wanted $50. And here's the kicker. For me to transfer money from my regions account to a bank internationally, I had to walk into my regions bank and do it. So I literally had to go into the bank and transfer the money. Not going to do it. I'm not going to be here. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Doing good there, Dave. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about with BDO, there's a BDO America, and there's a BDO Philippines.
That's correct.
This way, put it all in one banking institution, 2 different accounts, one for the Philippines and then one for America. And then you will definitely not have any bank-to-bank transfer.
Yeah, you gotta double check that with each bank, because what I did, Joe, is I call CITA because CITA is international too, and they got branches in the Philippines and in America. So with them, and I don't know about BDO America, and haven't checked them, but I know with CITA, the 2 countries banking, the laws are different, so that doesn't apply under CITA. CITA says, yes, we own banks in the Philippines, but has nothing to do with the American banks.
Right. Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
From what I've checked, and I've got to call back down to BDO and double check it. But there's BDO down in Texas.
Right. And there's one in New York. There's an office in New York and California also. So you're right in principle, but there may be some fine tuning.
Yeah.
When you get down to the nitty gritty, they may go, well, in theory that works, but.
Well, I've got Jeannie, my Jeannie, looking into BDO out there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Since she's already out there, have her look into BDO. This way here, we can get the account number
Yeah.
and take care of it that way.
No, in theory, you're right. I mean, same thing with SITA. You know, when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, they just wanted to make sure I understood. They still were going to charge me a fee because they're not the same branch. It's not like a branch to branch, you know, or
Right.
anything like that. It's country to country, and each banking has their own rules. Ramrod is wondering where Charles Schwab is in the United States. Well, they're all over and they're nowhere. So, you know, they're a huge financial investment company, but they also have checking services. I just opened mine online. It took me 5 or 6 minutes, did it online, and I've been really happy with using Charles Schwab now. I've been messing with them for about 6 months, changing things over, calling them, talking to them. I've been real happy with Charles Schwab. The other thing is, if you like to invest in the stock market, you can easily invest in the stock market right out of your checking account. Boom, 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 boom. No big deal.
I can't see what's being said in the chat.
All right. Well, Ramrod was just asking where Charles Schwab's was. And if you didn't see Eddie and, let's see, who is it? Eddie and Charles let me get up here. Simon's in the house somewhere. Eddie and Charles, yeah. Their fiancés are back in the Philippines currently. And what we were talking about was the green lane and hoping that might get them back down or back to the Philippines sooner than later. So Anthony B is in the house. How are you, Anthony? It's good to see you, my friend.
Well, out there in the Philippines, it depends on what part of the Philippines you're going to. All flights right now at the current time are all going into Manila, where everybody has to quarantine.
No, you can get flights to Cebu, Joe. You can get flights into Cebu.
Okay. Well, I know about Manila
Yeah,
because that's the airport that I have to deal with.
yeah.
I'm
Now,
not sure about Cebu.
Yeah, if we left today, we could fly into Cebu without going to Manila. And in fact, it's much easier to land in Cebu than it is Manila. But this green lane that they're proposing, what they're starting, the Department of Tourism in the Philippines is trying to work together or get a committee together to discuss if you've been vaccinated. That's the key. If you've already been vaccinated and can prove it, then we'll give you the green light to come to the country as a tourist visa, on a tourist visa, just like before. So they're hoping it's going to stimulate the tourism again if they can get the rest of the government on board with it.
Right. And there they would have to get all the provinces involved in that. Each island would have to get involved. It's a lot of hectic red tape that they're going through out there to get tourism back.
Well, I think what they would do, to be honest, is, at least this is my thought. If anybody else has a different one, let me know. What I think they would do, Joe, is the Department of Tourism would say, okay, we're going to green light this thing. Now, if Manila doesn't want to do it, then they don't do it. If Cebu wants to do it, then they do it. If a province says, you know, we don't want to do this, then they don't do it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of
Right.
like each state in America having their own rights. The province probably would still have. Anthony, come on up. How are you, my friend?
All right, how you doing?
Good, good, good.
So
Go ahead.
the thing about the tourism thing, that is to only tourists areas, not
Yeah.
not well, you know how that works in the Philippines, anything goes really, but that is targeted for tourist areas, not anybody and anyone to go anywhere they want.
Right. Part of the logic would be, though, if you got over there on your 28-day visa, right? If you
Well,
can get your foot in the door, then
I'm right down the street from Surigao, so like 3.5 hours. And that's a tourist area, surfing and everything.
right. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Philippines, guys, right? Is technically everything could almost be a tourist destination.
Oh yeah, well,
Well,
Yeah.
with me, when I go to Mindoro, I'm heading to the west side of the island. All the tourism's on the east side of the island. So right now, I'm kind of SOL if I have to just stay in the tourist area.
are you married?
Yeah, I am.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't have any problem then. You have a wife there, children, wife.
Wife.
Yeah, that's good enough. Why would they want to keep you from your wife? You know, it's not like you got a girlfriend.
Right. Well, my wife right now is up in Manila working,
Mm-hmm.
and our house is on Mindoro.
Yeah, do they don't fly over there? They only got ferry service or what?
Right. We only got ferries going to Mindoro.
Okay, that'd be the thing then. Well, maybe your wife should inquire about that.
Let me answer Eddie's question from what I understand. Eddie's asking is if the Greenland tourist thing happens, would it be like before when you land, you get your visa? I doubt it. They're not that far along in their discussions. What has happened, guys, is the Department of Tourism has said, look, we got to start making some revenue. This is hurting the economy horribly bad. So they've announced that they're just not that far down the road to have any details yet.
That was a bill introduced by I don't know what you call them, congressman or whatever.
Senator. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's no, you know, I mean, they can't hold out forever. I mean, the whole world is they're allowing full stadiums at sporting events now. They're working up. Some are working up to it. You know, in the next 2 months, I don't see why any one of us that have a wife over there shouldn't be able to go.
I agree. Anthony, as you know, we're both trying to get over on the Balikbayan, right?
Mm.
And what I was saying was I'm actually kind of hoping that what this will do is prevent us from having to deal with any quarantines.
Yeah, well, that would be great. I already have my hotel and flight booked, so
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
you're
I love it anywhere there. So I already have it paid for. I would still take the 8 days. I have a couple of brother-in-laws up there working.
okay. So now where are you going to fly in?
Manila.
Okay, so you're going to do the Manila side. All right.
Yeah, that's through EVA. I don't know if they belong to that coalition of airlines that are requiring a COVID vaccine. That's another thing people don't realize. Governments may not be pushing that, but airlines, if all the airlines do it, you know, their hands are going, well, we didn't do it. So now you got to deal with that. If you don't want to take that shot, you're not going.
Right. And what I've been telling people, if Walmart says to come to Walmart, you got to wear a blue hat. You better wear a blue hat to get into Walmart.
Yeah.
If a business says you have to do it, you have to do it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with what they require. You know, I'm a guest there, so I'll be living in the background, and
Yeah.
you know, I have no issues with that. I welcome the doctor appointment that he doesn't show up till 2 hours after the time you had. You know, and I got all day for one purpose, so I'm not alone there. I
Mhm.
welcome the slower pace and everything. They do love their paperwork there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they do.
That's like
It's
a psychological test for a law enforcement agency. 300 questions, all the same thing, only worded differently, but require the same answer.
Well, hey Anthony, if you got your hotel already booked, let me ask you this: Have you studied any of this? Something I brought up to Lorelai is, I drive my wife crazy with all these 5 million questions and things that we have to do. But who's going to bring you your food? Who's
I,
going
I have not inquired about that, but
to?
I noticed I made this reservation or booked this hotel probably 4 weeks ago, and at that time they spoke of COVID, this and that, the other thing, and I looked on it yesterday, and they didn't say a word about that at that facility, because before it was a government okay place to spend your time, and now it doesn't say anything about it. Grand Regency Suites, that's the one I got.
Because hey Tropical Tim, let's all say hi to Tropical Tim. He's hanging out in the Philippines, I'm sure.
hey TT, welcome in, brother.
Part of what I was asking Lorelai the other day was, because we're going to go to Cebu, of course, and the restrictions there are much, much less than what they are in Manila. I told her, she's like, well, I think we can go straight to the house that we're going to be renting.
No.
And I'm like, well, or okay, but who's going to take us to the house to be quarantined?
Yeah.
Who's going to take us from the airport to be quarantined? Do they have quarantine approved taxi drivers?
Yeah. Well, no. I doubt that. I have heard nothing of that. I wouldn't doubt that you would be required, if at the time it was 14 days, say, and you're going to have to spend 14 days in a approved facility,
Right.
whether you live there or not. Me, I don't live in Manila. I'd be flying on from there.
Yeah.
So I have to do the 14 days there. Then when I get to where I'm going, I have to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Right. Well, those are just some of my questions. Maybe I dig down too deep into things, but that's what I do, guys.
Yeah, they put their minds over there about everything, and what's on today is off tomorrow.
It is. And I told Lorelai the other day, I said, look, I know that I am tied up in the details, and I know by the time we fly out of here, it'll all be different. But I just think it'd be interesting. If I got to go to quarantine, do they got quarantine approved cabs and cab drivers to move me from one area to the other area so I don't contaminate the world?
You know what? That driver would have to wipe down their car how many times a day? And not cough in your direction. I wouldn't count on a taxi cab.
Tim says that Ray is back in Manila and she's in quarantine, 5 more days to go. She brings her food every other day to the hotel. It's either included in the price you pay daily. The food does suck, and I heard from other people that the prices of the quarantine hotels, they jacked their prices up because nothing can go out anywhere.
Mine was $38. It was actually $5 less. And I only booked it for 8, so I don't see why they couldn't just add on another 5,
right?
Or 6 or whatever it is, But getting there is the point. If I have to overspend a bit, I could give a hoot.
No, I agree.
It's been 2 years since I've seen my son and my wife. That's enough for me.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I just kind of thought that was an interesting, and we're going to take our dogs. So, Lorelai, we got to make sure that the hotel or the quarantine facility we stay in is doggy approved.
I don't think you're going to be able to take them in. I think they're going to have a separate journey on that. You know what I mean? I don't think you're going to be able to.
They're going to go, well, and we are working on this. Before COVID hit, we had this all mapped out. The dogs, we pay extra money. They just ride in the air conditioned or the heated belly of the plane. There's a flight attendant that looks after them. No problems, no issues. There's some government paperwork we have to do. No big deal.
Yeah.
Since COVID, right now, we're not quite for sure the airlines will let the dogs fly.
Yeah.
They won't fly until the dogs fly.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be it. That Philip guy up there in Boho, Rizzuto, he brought his dog over, so I think he's back in the States on some VA issue with his health.
Yeah.
But he could be the one to ask questions about pets if no one else out there has transported pets.
Yeah, I mean, in the past it's been okay, but I just told Laurel, I said we got to just. And the other question was, I said, when we land, do maybe the dogs go to her sister's house while we're in our 5 days?
Yeah, well, that would be a question to ask the airline specifically and directly.
Yeah,
I would. I mean, right to the horse's mouth, you know.
that's what we do, and we double check. What we do, guys, is we'll call the airlines on a Monday and ask questions. We'll call them on Tuesday, ask the exact same questions. We'll call them on a Thursday and ask the same questions to see if we get the same answers 3 times.
You know, customer service over there in general is way better than anywhere else I've ever been in the world. But what the airlines have for rules and what the people that pass on the rules to you through the government, that could be a big, big headache.
Well, and Tim is saying that his wife she's got to do 10 days and then 4 more, even though she's already had the vaccine. And that's where this green lane may come in. If they do a green lane, then maybe that's part of the questions, Tim, is if they go with this new green lane thing, will that take care of some of this?
I think they have enough knowledge about how things work now since this thing's come out, and it wouldn't be a huge leap for them to just change that part of the process.
I agree.
Because if you still got to have a quarantine, you still do. A lot of places here now, if you got the shot twice, you're in.
Yeah.
You go to the head of the line, So more and more facilities and government places are allowing, as long as you have that shot. Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys or girls don't want the shot and all this, but
don't. This guy at Walgreens told me that there was you get more than the card, because there's some people out there selling them for $10 a card. Well, what you're going to get from them is a printout like you would for a prescription that says you got the shot, and you're going to have an appointment letter, and then you're going to have all kinds of documentation that shows that you've had that shot. So in no way can anybody give you any baloney.
That's it. And the other thing is when you actually go through this and they take your photo ID, they register that with our CDC.
Mm-hmm.
So, but hey, thinking of Eddie here is mentioning things that could get misunderstood. Hey, that's a really good point to bring up, because I know you guys all know Grandpa Vlogger. We all watch him. He has a great channel, great information.
Oh yeah, Filipino guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was bringing up the point in a video the other day, and we're going to do this, and I recommended this in the last video I did via him. So I give him all the credit for this, not mine. He said right before you fly, you print out whatever the new rules are for landing wherever you're going to land, and you take them with them and you have them in your hand.
Yeah.
So that there's no misunderstandings at the ticket lines, because he had some emails from people that got stranded and had to prove to the airline companies, no, I can go because I meet the qualifications.
Yeah, he said, she said, man, that guy, Eddie, that's what I was talking about with them maybe not getting a word or any one particular employee not being as well versed as the next.
Right.
What's happening because that'll happen. Anything.
Yep. Here's what I like. Hey, Tim, Tim, if you're around, you can pop up if you feel like it. She flew from United to Honolulu, 7 hours. They didn't serve. I know. So they're not serving food because of COVID, or they're not serving food because they're being.
Yeah. They're getting you packaged stuff. But
I like airline food.
But listen, I went that route my first trip, and that's when I was a smoker. And you spend a little time in Hawaii, you get off the same plane, you get back on, they refuel it, clean it, and all that. And I, for some reasons, thought that Guam was 2 hours away. And boy, I looked at that door in a plane, I thought, damn, man, I can't go outside for a cigarette. That kind of stopped me right there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course you're not going to be able to do it anyway, but man, that is a long route.
Yeah, we usually fly out of Dallas to Korea, then to Cebu.
Well,
there's 14 hours in the flight on the air one trip.
Yeah, but what I've learned from that first time, because I went from Chicago to San Francisco to Hawaii to Guam to Manila. So the next time I took it, the flight I chose went from Chicago to Hong Kong and then Manila.
Right.
A lot, 14 hours, and then you get off for 3 hours and get on another plane, but a lot more tolerable.
Well, let me ask the question. I like airline food. Does anybody else?
I don't mind it, but for folks over there that are used to eating foods that are not processed, it will give them gas something fierce.
Oh yeah.
It did my wife, and I'm like, Jesus, man.
You don't want that on the plane.
She had hardly ever done that in her life.
Yeah, Lorelai doesn't like to eat the airline food at all, but I like it.
It's better than nothing. It's better than a package of peanuts. They said that you look at their rules too, because it says you can bring on certain items.
You can. Well, and you can bring on whatever you want. You just got to buy it past the checkpoint.
Yeah.
You're paying $6 a foot long sub. Now you pay $20 for a sub.
Yeah. Well, Hawaii, man. I think I got a hamburger, fries, and a soda for $8, and that was 2012.
Yeah.
At the airport.
Yeah, I like Eddie's comment here. I think it's good, and I agree with him. There's just not a lot of it.
No.
I actually, I like to. I don't know. For me, I don't drink. I don't know. I like airline food, so I just take advantage of it. And Lorelai gives me hers, so maybe that's what.
Oh yeah.
Probably doesn't help my diet.
Yeah, right. Just don't pile all the wrappers on one plate. That'll make you look bad.
What's the matter, Joe?
I was going to say, I might wind up going into LA, then catching PAL straight into Manila.
Yeah.
Or then I might wind up going from KC or St. Louis here in Missouri up to New York, over to Hong Kong, and then I'm not sure yet which way
I shouldn't have made my entire flight thing, because I'm totally going to miss that second leg, which would have been 4 hours later. But the one I have is going to fly. A Coach USA bus here. It's $50 to $54 round trip from O'Hare back. No hassles, at the park and all that crap. And I'm taking my flight on EVA from Chicago to Taiwan or Taipei, whatever.
Taipei.
Then down to Manila.
Yeah.
And then if I'm allowed to, I'll either take the bus down and stop off at Angeles and Naga on the way down, since I've been there before.
Tim says that Japanese airline has the worst food. You won't even eat any of it. The Filipinos won't even eat it. That's
Hey,
really bad. Because
there
Korean
was
Air,
there was ANA Airlines was a new all Nippon Airways. It was brand new when I flew it, and they used to fly. What I liked about them was they flew right into Terminal 3 at Manila, and my regional flight from Manila to Butuan was out of Terminal 3. So I didn't have to go out there, take a cab, and risk getting ripped off and all that stuff. They don't. I don't think they do that anymore. But that was the best airline that I've ever been on. These flight attendants had the same look.
that's Korean Air. Yeah, let me tell
They
you.
had the same look, happy look that they did when we took off than when we landed.
Yeah, I don't want to, promote anybody, but I love Korean Air. I mean, I know this is horrible to say because I'm a married guy, but the women are beautiful.
Oh,
They're
you can tell a Korean woman from any other Asian woman.
they're very polite. The first time I flew on Korean Air, I was a little nervous about going to the Philippines. A little stressed. They were such wonderful people. It was just
Yeah. I have medicines I take too that I would be taking in reverse there because the ones I take at 10:30 in the evening now would be 10:30 or 11:30 in the morning there. So I gotta take a day off of everything and then switch it around because my first trip I practically slept half the time.
I don't sleep on planes. I stay awake.
No, I couldn't. I'm not talking about on the plane. I'm talking about once I got there.
Oh yeah. It's
But the medicines I have will put me to sleep, so that would be sweet for a 14-hour flight because I may only be up for 2 hours of it.
And Tim doesn't recommend PAL, but I think we all agree. I know Eddie and all the other guys that are wanting to get back home right now would take any airline. If it can get our happy butts there alive.
Yeah. Cathay is nice. United, they don't have a big turnover there in the flight attendant department because you'll if you haven't noticed and you fly them, you'll see that they'll have a 70-year-old woman with a 30-year-old woman's haircut.
I know.
So I'm like, as long as I got to be captive on something for 14 hours, I'd like to have some nice eye candy, in which you're not going to get that on your chances getting that on United are slim to none.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
I'm no pride myself, but 14 hours, and I got to look around. I don't want to look at somebody that could be my mother.
I know. Eddie says,
I'm 60, so.
Eddie says, I know, right? I grew up in a hillbilly family, was blown away by how nice and welcoming the people were. Yeah, we all have talked about that. I become a better person when I'm in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah, man. You can't be an a-hole. You can't be an a-hole there, man. I mean, you always have to put out the disclaimer. And this is, in all seriousness, their society as a whole is better than ours. People are not stressed about that type of thing like we are over here.
Yeah.
And there are more friendlier people than not over there that would be happy to help. Now, you always have to remember, it's not every single soul.
No.
My experiences are nothing but are great.
I almost think of it as like America in the 50s.
Yeah. Yep.
But I've become a nicer person. So go ahead, Joe.
America in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. 40 especially.
When things are just more respectful, more calm,
well, I have great comfort in being lied to by my government now. I don't like knowing all that. I just don't. It just I've gotten this far. I can make up my own mind. I don't say much about it, but I'm no dummy either, and I know when something isn't right. and I'll say something when it gets to the point where I can't tolerate it no more. But you love people that have never been there, man. You're gonna love it over there. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Don't expect to go to a 11 a.m. Doctor appointment, and the doctor may not be there till 1. That's just how they do it, and I'm fine with that. But if you've got any number of things to do, plan on a week, because it's probably going to take the whole day per situation.
And I don't know if the guys that are living under like Tim might agree with me on this. And, and Anthony, I know you've been there a bunch, but it's kind of like if you're an American and there's a lot of things that need to be done, just have your wife do it.
Yeah.
Just let her do it. Let her go with the girls. She'll get it done at the mall. You can stay back at home and relax and not get stressed.
Buddy, I tell you, Dave, I love every part. I could live in every part of the Philippines, either province or city. I love every single thing about it. As strange as it may seem, I love the traffic. I love all the people and all the hospitality I get. I love every second of every day when I'm there. And I'm not making that up either.
Well, and part of it for me is I got a lot of, I grew up in the Philippine community. When I was a young man, my best friend was Korean. He married a Filipina at 18. So I've been around the Philippine community since I was 18 years old. And I know people that have been married many moons. And they all talk about that, the fact that they can find peace and happiness over there without the stress. I'm
telling you, man, I am, even the thought of it brings me such great peace of mind. I just wish that I had another lifetime to live over and do it all from a young age on.
Yeah, Eddie says he prefers the Providence because it's more like he's an old country boy, so or a farm boy, hillbilly. So
I tell you about the province where my wife's from. It's peaceful, but the only thing about that is everybody burns wood.
Yeah.
When that stank of wood burning sometimes, it's overwhelming.
I've never heard this.
Actually, the smell of wood is quite relaxing.
The smell of smoke. I'm talking about the smoke.
Yeah. I like Tim here. Tim, that's a great statement. You guys read Tim's statement here? Here, it's not about who you know, but more about who knows you. That's a good statement. I like that, Tim.
It's true.
I like that. Yeah, the sad thing is, we all want to get rid of the rat race in America or the drama in America, Tim.
Hey, you know what? I'm the outsider. I have no problem shutting my yap. I don't criticize anything anybody does there. That's them. I'm at the point in my life where I need that peace and quiet and that great feeling of being alive and not having to rush.
I agree. I mean, I've told Lorelai many times, as long as I can go fishing easily and she can drive the bus, I don't care. Here in America, I drive the bus.
You know what? If you do not like stress of driving, especially if you're in smaller cities, when you take a trike ride, it's $0.25.
Oh yeah.
Why make car payments and have 40% interest and insurance and having everybody disrespecting their new vehicle when you can get a ride to and from for 50 cents?
Yeah. And what I mean by driving the bus is paying the bills, taking charge, making things happen. That's kind of what I do.
That. Yeah.
If Lorelai wants to do it, more power to it.
And me, as far as banking and all that goes, a lot of people don't sweat that. I have a couple of different accounts, and I don't mind spending. If spending $5 to transfer money is a real problem for you, then maybe you shouldn't be going there. Going, you know what I mean? I mean, I can turn on my phone there. I got a dual SIM card phone. I can order up some money for my wife to go pick it up.
Yeah. Were you saying something?
I'm not sweating that.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, I didn't know if you had something to say. I thought you were chiming in.
Like Eddie says there, I'm also used to cooking over an open campfire. And the smell of smoke and wood burning out in the province, it's like being here in the woods, being out for an open camp. I love the smell.
Where I was, my particular experience would have choked anybody. There was maybe it was the wind, I don't know, but I know what you're saying about campfire smoking, but oh my goodness.
I think there's a difference between a fire that you cook on and the fire that you burn all the palm leaves in.
Yeah.
I'm a grill master, so I'm used to that. But hey, if they want to squat down on a little charcoal pile and cook, let them.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, good to see you.
I stepped on a charcoal briquette when it was hot, and it melted right into the heel of my foot.
That would suck. Hey, if you guys haven't friended of each other, make sure that you guys all do all of that good stuff. So let me throw that shout out for everybody out there. Lornick channel is a great channel too. We appreciate you. How are you doing today? Let's see.
You know, one other thing I remember about my first trip in Manila and Makati, and the cab drivers, the taxi drivers, you don't get I didn't see road rage. And those guys are just like, okay, you give me an inch, I'll take an inch. They got all day to get down the road.
Which is funny about the driving, because Eddie talks about, I remember riding in traffic was like, boy, I'm glad I don't have to drive.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, because there's times when I go there that I'm like, let me drive. I can get through this faster. Let me get these cars out of the way. But if you sit back, the drivers that are taxi guys or the people that have been there, there's an ebb and flow in the traffic. There's a beeping system.
Yep.
They got a little system all figured out. So you need to just sit back in the taxi and let them do it.
It works for them. The city I'll be living in only has, on the main streets that cross, is the only part that they have a stoplight in. Otherwise, there is no stopping at side streets. You just go. And you know, and people, it works for everybody. You know, they kind of got this sixth sense about, you know, when they can go and they can't. And I on the 4 weeks I spent there each time, I've never seen anybody ranting and raving like you would here. No,
we shoot people here for traffic issues.
My dad used to make stuff happen for, you know, like all the time. I drove a transit system bus for 20 years, so, you know, I had to go by the rules all the time, and it used to irritate me when I would see people blowing red lights and, you know, possibility of somebody getting killed.
See, guys, Tim is recommending the same thing that I talked about earlier. You know, he has a bank account in America, and then he has 2 in the Philippines. And he just transfers what he needs and keeps the other money stashed aside for emergencies. And I think that's the way to do it. I told people, Tim, if you didn't hear, and I've said this a couple of times in videos, I plan on having one accounts payable Philippine bank account. Like if I was going to buy a car and make payments, that monthly would just come out of that, and I would transfer needed funds into that. And then we'll have another one that has maybe a larger fixed amount of money that we can draw from, and then, of course, use our monthly income as we need it. So we'll have a savings in the Philippines, a payable account in the Philippines, money in America, and then our monthly income. That's how I plan on doing it. In a year,
I get the SRB, and that way, the military one, I need $1,400 to stay in that bank account all the time.
For the SSRV, if you're a military guy.
Yeah.
So are you on the SSRV or did you get a 13A?
No, I'm not. I could get either one, but if I get the 13A, my wife dies. I'm on tourist, you know.
That's right.
And I have a son there, so you know, one big headache. If I get the SRV, I can get that couple months. I talked to another guy out in Leyte, and he recommended that instead. You know, because then I'm not. You know, if I separate, I'm not screwed.
Is Tim? Hey, Tim, I know he's an old vet. Are you on a SSRV or a 13A? If you don't mind sharing, I couldn't remember what you were on. Because he's been there for a while.
Well, you know what I do with that taxi cab ride now that I see that Tim? I print out, before I even fly, I print out the route from the airport to the hotel, and I ask the guy, do you have a meter? Because I think it's, when I was there, it could have been an 80 peso drop. I forget, something like that.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys. I gotta turn the fan on.
40 or 80, but, you know, if you leave for another flight at 2 in the morning, it's not going to cost as much because you're not sitting out there as long.
Yeah, we had the same situation with the taxis too, Tim. I only had one guy try to rip me off the last time I was in the Philippines. All of the rest of them, their meters and turned it on immediately without me.
You can get that personal one. I forget what the company's called. It reminds me of Avis, but that one for me was like $13. I had the whole thing, you know, and I didn't. I was on vacation. If you're on vacation, you're going to spend. That's just how it is. But Tim said he's on an SRV. So.
Okay, yeah.
Tell anybody watching what the process was like for you. There's a company in Cebu that'll do it for you.
There's a lot of visa companies out there that or little groups that will process it for a fee.
The one thing I know is that they're gonna want that criminal background check here. So right before you leave, go down to your local police department and get you your paper. So when you get over there, even if it's 6 months later, they're gonna check it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was told it was easier process. $1,500 in the bank, huh? Isn't that $1,500 plus all the service fees are that equal amount as well?
I think what he's saying is you have to keep
all times too.
Yeah, at all times a balance of $1,500. Joe's having internet issues.
Yeah.
So, same like the Philippines and Missouri. But yeah, I think you got to have that. If you're not the military, is it 10,000 that you have to have in the bank?
Well, they have different ones. They have that Smile and I forget what else. But when I heard the fact that I only needed at that time $1,400, I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
Piece of cake, easy to do.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to do the 13A once we're there. So we'll apply for it once we get there.
I think that one is a little more drawn out than the SRV is.
Yeah, but I'm not a military guy, so I
have no choice really then.
Yeah, so I'll do the 13A.
The only thing is, a lot of these, that Ned guy used to be up there, and he's in Dumaguete.
Mm-hmm.
At his particular bank, they let him get an account right away. In other places said, no, you got to be here a year.
Well, and what we talked when we were there in 2019, we went in and asked the banks because we were working on this. And they said, you just have to establish residency.
Okay.
So,
well, establishing residency over here is getting a driver's license or a bill.
But you got to get a driver's license, you got to establish residency.
And you got to have what?
Yeah, you get a bill in your name, or you know how small, the Philippines is a big country, but it's also a very little country. If you know somebody in the barangay who's friends with the barangay captain, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So Tim says when you land, you cannot use taxis to go to the quarantine hotel. Okay, that's what I was wondering. How in the hell do you go from the airplane to the hotel?
So you're gonna get charged a little more though from the hotel.
Yeah.
They send the van out.
But it's going to be a quarantine van. That's what I was wondering to Lorelai. I'm like, how do we get from point A to B without contaminating the world if we're supposed to be in quarantine? How do we get our food if we're supposed to be in quarantine? What do we do with our dogs?
Well, she thought, I forget who the female was. Filipino over there had a well done video. I forget what the channel was called, her channel. And she explained it perfectly. And in that, she said that because everybody else is kind of like we are, we kind of little this, little that, we wonder. Yeah. But she knew for a fact, and I guess the process, unless they change it, is like you're there 6 days and then they test you. Then they pick you up and you go to wherever and come back. And then you have your results before you leave. I think them adding that extra 6 days there is a money-making ploy.
Money grab. See, what we were just recently told about Cebu was you fly in, you get your test, then you go to quarantine. If it comes back negative, you get to leave.
A proof of residency passport. Well, you already have a passport.
Well, my wife.
I don't know of anybody that would refuse you to hold on to $1,400. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
They're going to make money off you, but albeit a little, but in the big picture.
Okay, Tim. Okay. So you're saying my wife's because what we're getting ready to do, guys, is we're getting ready to run down to Houston again and get her Philippine passport. So that way she has both. And so we're doing everything under the sun to hedge our bet to make sure we don't have any hiccups. So if I got to go back to Houston from Arkansas to get a freaking passport for $60, so be it.
How do you get the residency part? Unless they would they issue you a few weeks after getting there? Would they issue you a postal ID? Then you could show residency that way also.
Unless he's saying that the fact that the passport is Philippines, that gives you residency automatically.
Well, for them, but not for us.
Well, no, it wouldn't do it for us, but it would do it for our wives.
Well, sure. My wife's got one. My son's got both.
Yeah. I mean, I won't have any proof of residency, but if they allow her to do it with the passport, at least we can open a bank account and get money flowing.
Yeah. Well, I just want mine for the SRRV.
Yeah.
Any other way, I'm not going to cry about spending $4 plus. I heard my wife started to do it. Western Union has a kind of like a savings account or banking account there where you can have your money. You can have your money just like a bank.
Right. PayPal is doing the same thing now too, or maybe they have been.
Well, I think one owns the other. Doesn't Western Union own PayPal? Something like that. One of those financial institutions does. Yeah,
they may. I don't really know, but I know there's a lot of cross.
You know, it always seems like a lot when you talk about all this, but really, it's not as hard at getting stuff done as time wise. It takes more time than here, but it's not as hard or difficult to get things done as it is here for me.
Hold on, I got to send a picture of this fish I caught to my wife.
Okay, what kind is what is that?
They're red snappers.
Oh man.
She's hanging out with Filipinas and they're talking about fish, of course. And so she's wanting to show them the last. Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, my driver's license expires a year from this summer.
Well, and
so what I was thinking of doing was going there and telling them, look, I might be out of the country. Can I just renew this now? I mean, they're good for us. They're good for 7 or 8 years now.
Mm-hmm. You can. We did ours early.
All right. Because you never know, you know. I mean, I always like to have something in the back, back pocket.
Well,
money, paperwork, whatever.
And I agree with Tim here. Tim, we talked luckily, we have a cousin who works for the Brungai captain directly. So we don't think we'll have any issues.
That is excellent information that Tim has for anyone out there wondering about, including myself, wondering about opening a bank account. Because my wife's not very worldly, so she ain't gonna be able to tell me. But this is invaluable information that you're getting from this guy for free.
That's right.
Got the professor here.
And what we're doing about the driver's license is this. We renewed our state driver's license, and we've also, tomorrow, we actually go to get the enhanced driver's license. Okay. And that gives us another 8 years starting tomorrow. We also just went down with AAA and got the international driver's permits. Lorelai and I both. So we got that done. That when we get to the Philippines, because Ed, inspired expat, retired in the Philippines, an Army guy who's getting ready to retire, who's been there many, many times, he suggested, just to cover your base, to have, for some reason, if you get into a barangay or an area where they don't want to give you a driver's license, at least you have without residency, proof of residency, at least you have this international permit, which is approved in the Philippines to cover that until you get your residency.
Do they actually honor that international one while you're waiting to get theirs? So what's the point? Why wouldn't they give you a license right away? Why make you wait 6 months or a year, and your original one's only good for 90 days? I don't know if the Philippines honors an international license.
Well, it says it does. It's right there on the forms and in the sheets. And it also says that it's good for 1 year. So you get 1 year through AAA for $20.
Okay. So why would they make you wait a year to get theirs and have you go through that?
No. I'm not saying the Philippines would make me wait a year. What I'm saying is, if we land there tomorrow and I want to go get a Philippine driver's license, I can show them my Arkansas driver's license, and in theory, they can give me a Philippine license. But maybe the guy doesn't like the way I look and says, you need to come back when you can prove to me that you're a resident of the Philippines.
Well, you're going to get 90 days, but I just don't understand their thinking when it comes to a driver's license versus you're being able to renew passport, extensions on top of each other, but you can't get a driver's license. I know that international thing per se, it's not an actual thing. I forget. I was talking to somebody in Thailand about how they got theirs. It was a matter of filling a void until they were able to get a license from that country.
Yep, right there.
So I don't get why they would do that. It must be moneymaker because why do you got to wait a year? When you can do like you're doing.
Yeah. I don't think you have to wait a year to get a Philippine driver's license. I've never heard of it.
I think they got some time there. It's either 6 months or a year. Unless they changed it. Maybe Tim could tell us.
Well, then again, we know the Philippines. It all depends on who you know and what part you're in.
Somebody could say, "Hey, come here. I'll take care of that for you." I am in no great pressure, under any pressure, to when I got to get this license for that and that. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can get a ride, like I said. I can get a ride.
Everybody say hi to Ronald. He's in the house.
Hey, Ronald. I know Ronald pretty decent, good here.
You can come up if you want, Ronald. Tropical Tim is telling me that your ES driver's license is only good for 90 days here, no exceptions.
Right.
Okay. So within the 90 days, you have to get the Philippine license. Okay.
I don't think they do that. I would ask them about the last I knew of it. You couldn't get one right after that 90 days. And a lot of people were talking about it because it didn't make much sense that you could only drive 90 days, but you had to wait 6 months or a year.
Tim, can we have a U.S. and a Philippine license at the same time? So if I land there tomorrow, I know now my DL, Arkansas DL, only gets 90 days. Could I immediately go get a Philippine license, or do I got to wait 90 days? And Tim is telling me, don't waste the 20 bucks. Sorry, my friend, I wasted 40 because I didn't want to argue with my wife.
So is that correct, Tim? Is that correct about the time involved where you only get to use it for 90 days, yours, but it takes you more than a year to get one?
That's exactly it, Tim. That's exactly it. Read that comment. That's the comment. If you know, I mean, right? And we're hoping that her cousin, who I tried to find a foreigner for at one point in time, but I guess she scared him off, will help us with that.
Money talks. The Philippine people, it's all about making money. People don't do anything hardly for free. But money, if you go, hey man, if I gave you an extra 1,000 peso, could I get this thing? You know, not trying to talk stupid like you're bribing somebody, but you know, just a question.
Ronald says he's feeling under the weather.
Uh-oh.
Ronald, we hope you're feeling better.
Because his bloodstream is normal now.
You need us to send you some chicken soup up there?
Oh man.
I can ship it in a brown box.
I love Campbell's and all Campbell's only, and I got double noodle. I got 4 cans of that stuff.
Okay. So Tim got his in a couple of hours for 1,200 pesos.
So that 1,200 peso was extra.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, is it or is it not true that after that 90 days you got to wait, unless you find somebody's cooperating with you, you got to wait up to a whole year by rule, by law.
Right. So Tim is saying you can get the Philippine license immediately, and that's what I've been told.
Well,
I've been told I didn't have to wait. That I was told that the only hiccup we would run into is if the local captain wanted me to prove that I was a resident for some reason, which probably meant give me 1,000 pesos.
Now that's where Tim lives. That don't mean that where you're going to be living, the guy will do it.
That's true. That's true. Everybody, that's the craziness.
Just don't, for anybody out there, just don't walk up there and go, hey man, I know this guy down so town. Tell him his name. Hey, he got that done for 1,200 bucks. You may be talking to a hardcore by the letter kind of person, and all of a sudden he turns this whole thing into shit.
Oh no, what you do is you walk up very politely and say, excuse me, sir, but we need to get a driver's license and we know nothing about that. How can you help us? Because you build them up and make them feel good, and then they'll tell you whatever rule it is that they want you to follow, and then you just go with it.
Yeah. Don't make it so painfully obvious and go, well, I know a guy that bribes another guy,
That's right. I know
then you're on the plane going out of town. Then there you go.
All right. So Tim paid that to the Land Transportation Office.
Okay, so that's not anything extra.
That's
so
good.
You get to do that right away.
We'll try. We'll try.
Just so that you got there, or did you live there more than a year before you did that?
Tim is saying you can do it right off the plane. He got it. He got it within 2 hours after the plane.
Well, maybe they changed the rules then. That's cool.
So he got it pretty quickly. There's the Inspired Retired Expat from Hawaii. Hello, my friend. How are you?
That makes me feel a little bit better every day about things. See what you get when you come. You get invaluable information.
Well, that's why we have open discussions. And Inspired, my friend, what we're talking about today is the possibility of the green. What do they call it? The green lane. I want to call it the green line.
Right.
I think they're calling it the green lane. Maybe the green line. Whatever. The new way that the Department of Tourism is thinking about allowing people with the vaccine to come over as a tourist.
Yeah, tourist areas. by the way.
Right. But it's still a huge step.
Oh, sure.
From open, to get this place opened up. And inspired, part of what I was questioning was if they're going to go down this road pretty soon, maybe October, I don't know. Does that mean for guys like you and I and Anthony and others who are going back on the Balik Bayan that we don't got to jump through the hoops of going through quarantine and all of that other mess?
Yeah, that's the savior there. But I tell you, if I can get my little white butt in there, and I got to do 14 days, then that's what I got to do.
Right. But it'd be nice if you don't have to.
Yeah, but see, the problem with mine is I got some case pending for my what do you call it, and all this stuff I go through, and then it would be my luck that I get there. And then 3 months later, they go, okay, you got your claim that you put in for. Now you got to come back.
Yeah.
Now I got to go to the company because they got to pay me more. It's like.
Hello, my friend. How are you? Everybody say hi to Inspired. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I just got back from the military travel agency on base, and they put me through the damn rigmarole of trying to get my flights from Hawaii to Philippines. And so basically they said, you're not allowed to select a home state, a selection, home of selection to an overseas or foreign country. So you can choose the farthest from Hawaii, like Florida, and we'll reimburse you for what the ticket would cost from here to Florida. But you got to use that money, that credit, in the same airline that flew you to Florida. So only Delta goes to their contract carrier for the military from Hawaii to Florida is Delta, and then they'll give me a credit of like $690, but Delta don't fly from Hawaii to Philippines anymore. And so they want me to now fly, because I have to use Delta, because that's where the credit's going to be, that I got to fly to Korea, to Incheon, and then pay my own ticket, Korea to the Philippines, which I don't mind. I mean, Air Asia, whatever, but is the flights all going to match up? Will one get canceled and not the other? I mean, the whole freaking rigmarole.
I got mine booked for August 7th, a couple of days after yours.
The military?
I went and made my hotel reservations and all that together. So apparently I wasn't smart enough, but I'm going to lose that second half of my thing and have to buy it all over again. But if I get that far, I'm not sweating it.
Yeah, but you didn't buy it through the military, right?
No, I'm on a regular airline.
Oh yeah, that's much easier.
Yeah, it's like $200 some, $300 whatever. But after spending all that other money, $300 isn't going to break me.
Oh, no. But it's me, my wife, and my son. So there's three of us. And then, the whole, what if we get stuck in Incheon? And, you don't have to follow a whole lot of COVID stuff if you're staying inside the airport. But if for some reason you can't transfer and you can't, then that's an issue. And what if, let's say I select Cebu Pacific or Asia Air, what if their flights get canceled the day before or whatever? So, and I'd love to select Cebu, but right now their cap is only at 300 people a day. And what if it doesn't get raised, or what if that airline doesn't have the slot? So, it's stressful. That's all.
I think after I'm sitting there and I'm waiting on my test to be taken or showing me the results, I'll be inquiring about getting a ticket through whoever the hell it is, who cares, from Manila to Butuan.
Oh yeah, but see, that's not bad because I'm going to Davao, but I got what you're saying, because you'll be in Manila and worst scenario, so you're stuck in Manila. I mean, no biggie, like you said, you've gotten that far, but to be stuck in Incheon, oh shit, that sucks. So
well, you better like kimchi, huh?
Well, I was stationed there for 2.5 years. I liked it. It's just that's not the goal.
what I found out from that stuff, we had a civilian KP Korean lady working in mess hall when I was in the Army, and her breath permanently stunk like that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people who eat kimchi have a law. It's really hard, and especially if they eat it all the time. But all the local nationals that worked with me there, the Katusas is what they call them. They would bring toothbrushes and toothpaste and mouthwash and just brush and brush for like a good 45 minutes after they ate to try to help. So when they were working with the rest of us, they didn't really have too bad a breath, which it actually worked out and it was fine. But yeah, I hear you.
You guys say hi to Tim. He popped in. Tim, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Tim.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing good, man. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay, so you can hear me. Okay, good. I strongly recommend against entering the Philippines via another country. And the reason that is because the Philippines is notorious for last minute changes and banning flights coming in from different countries if they get an inkling of any kind of outbreak, a new strain that was detected in another country. At least if you can get direct from LA, Frisco, or if you're coming the opposite way, whatever, if you're going to be banned, at least you're in the US. I would get as direct as possible. I wouldn't concern with any additional costs. That's just my recommendation, because many people have been sitting in international airports and have actually had to return because of you know, the problem here and what's been here since the outbreak is the knowledge and information you're armed with and go to sleep with that night is changed when you wake up the next morning all the time. So when you get these tubers coming out there and putting out their videos or lives or whatever and trying to put out gospel because they watched 3 other videos or did a little research on Google or whatever, and they think they're informing their audience and arming them with information that they think their audience needs. But what they don't know is as they're running their mouth, shit changes.
Yeah.
It just does, and you have to be very careful and cautious about that. So my recommendation is to get as direct as possible. And once you get here in Manila, you are going into quarantine. Yeah. For 10 days, you get swabbed on the 7th day and results come back on the 9th day. I get something like that. And then you're released. You have to have a letter from your LGU, local government unit, could be as low level as a barangay or provincial governor or city mayoral office or whatever, stipulating that yes, you are allowed to enter their area where your final destination is, and that's not always going to be the case. So you got to be very careful. There's a lot of steps along the way when you get here. Just so many nightmare stories.
How are you supposed to get that certificate if you haven't gotten there yet?
Get there, contact them in advance. Hey,
while you're waiting on your test, you saying?
Listen to this. I'm a permanent resident here. Mm-hmm. My home is in Palawan. I haven't seen my home since July of 2019, and I still can't get into Palawan. And I'm a permanent resident here. I've got a Philippine driver's license. I have a Philippine National Police photo ID, which is very hard to get. Very rare. And I have my SRV ID and I have a home down there. But because I do not possess a photo ID saying I'm a resident of Puerto Princesa in Palawan, I can't get in. I can meet all their other protocols, whatever they want. But because I don't have that ID as of right now, I can't get in there. But check this out. Because I'm a resident of the Philippines, I can go on a group package to Coron or El Nido in the north of Palawan on a holiday. But I have to stay with that group and I have to tour with the group guide who's approved and certified through Philippine Tourism Authority or whatever. But I can't travel anywhere else in Palawan. I could not make the trek down to my house in Puerto Princesa. How stupid is that? Yeah. But the problem here is everything comes down to the LGU. Now, a couple months ago, I took off when we were under GCQ. And we're under GCQ now, but with modified stipulations. See, they just create a different something all the time.
Yeah.
And I went up on a 2-week trip along the west coast of Luzon, and I was trying to get all the way up to the very tip of it, and I got as far as La Union province up by Luna, which is pretty far. And I had a good time, visited a bunch of resorts and saw a lot of cool things. And there were checkpoints along the way, and all they did was make you fill out paperwork and then verify whether you were lying or not based on IDs were in your possession. I eventually got turned around when I tried to go into Ilocos province, and I said, "Well, I'm sorry, what quarantine you're under?" "Well, we're under MGCQ, which is the lowest form of quarantine." I'm like, "So what's the problem? You having some outbreak or something?" Like, "No. It's just that the current decree by the mayoral or provincial governor says you ain't from here, you ain't getting in." And it's just bullshit. I'm like, look, I got money. I'm going to be spending money in a hotel, buy some souvenirs, buy some food, whatever. Nope, turn around, goodbye. And that's what you have to worry about right now. That's the biggest headache currently, amongst a few others, that you have to deal with in the Philippines is where can you go once you get to where you're going? Be ready to camp out. It's very difficult. There's so much paperwork involved in moving around from island to island. Pretty much you can't do that because they don't want anybody, once they've got control of their COVID or whatever, they're just scared to death of letting any outsiders in. I don't care if you're Filipino or foreigner, it's very difficult right now.
I'm still wondering how, I can understand with that SRRV, what all those Chinese that were abusing that, those 30-year-old retirees, and they put the clamps on that for a while. But how am I supposed to get a letter from the barangay captain or the mayor of Butuan when I'm in Manila and I haven't, am I supposed to correspond with this? I have my wife,
I would ahead of time try to resolve or get as close to a resolution as possible. Just make them aware of your itinerary, what your plans are, your wife, yada, 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 where you live, the address where you live and things like that. Say, here, this is roughly when I'm coming over. I'm going to go through my quarantine here. And then onward destination to wherever you're going. Let them know that and ask them to please help you coordinate the permission for you to get in there, or you're not getting in. You can't just arrive in Manila and then go to your final destination. It's not going to happen.
I'm glad I have the Philippine versions of my marriage and son's birth certificate also, and the plane tickets. I mean, anything you get, you hold on to it.
You do. That's great advice from everybody. Hang on to those documents.
Yeah, that's extremely valuable information coming from somebody that lives there or had lived there, or has gone through that experience, because there's a whole lot of people out here going, gee, you tell them misinformation,
Yeah, that's why I propose questions. I ask questions because everything changes every minute from every perspective. And luckily for us, we get to land in Cebu and we stay in Cebu City, for a while.
Those guys might be loose enough up there where they go, go ahead.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. But either way, you're going to get there one way or the other. But
as of right now, as we sit here talking, I cannot leave the Metro Manila area, which includes Manila proper, the entire National Capital Region, and 5 other surrounding provinces. So I can theoretically move in and around those places, but I cannot leave and enter into another one because I'm from Manila. Wow. Unless I'm on some sort of official work business or something I can demonstrate. Yes, I have business here, or I work there, or whatever. That's the way it is right now. Can't move around that much.
So here's the question then, just Inspired here is going to be going to Davao. Now, I don't know my geography well enough in the Philippines, to be honest. So what's in store for him? Ed, have you looked into all of this, Ed?
I have, and You know, he gives great advice and great cautionary advice because, you know, I take risk by doing that. One, by going to Korea, and then maybe Korea comes out with some variant the night before, the week before, the day before, the hour before. So that could happen. And then also, like he said, you know, if I get a flight from Korea to, let's say, Cebu, doesn't mean the flight won't be canceled a few hours before for whatever reason. They don't have enough people on there or not enough seats because they're only allocated 300. I mean, there's a lot of risk involved. And the smartest and best thing is to try to take a direct flight from the U.S. as best you can. But as we know, there's no direct flights from to Cebu from the U.S. that I'm tracking anyway. So,
No, but you can get direct to Manila, and that's what I
Right.
would be focused on, and then worry about getting to Cebu once you're here,
That's where I'm going in.
well, I'm trying to get to Davao. So
or Davao. Okay.
yeah.
My wife Ray just arrived about midnight because she was delayed in Guam. She went Houston to Honolulu, Honolulu to Guam, and Guam into Manila. But 2 months prior, she was supposed to fly out on March 18th U.S. time, which would have been the 19th here. And 2 days before she was going to board, Philippines put a travel ban on. Boom, just like that. And it
that's
happened
what I'm
to her
talking
last
about.
September, or not September, November, because she was only supposed to go to the U.S. for 2 months. She left back on August 5th last year to attend our daughter's wedding. We decided for me not to go, one, because I was right in the middle of processing my SRV, and you have to be in country to finish the processing. Two, we knew that the odds of, if I left, me getting back at a reasonable time and all our stuff is here, was slim to none, and Slim just left town. So looking at those things, we decided to sacrifice, and I had to watch my daughter's wedding on live and video and things like that. So it is what it is, and my daughter definitely understood. But yeah, my wife was canceled twice. 2 months turned into 10. June 5th will make 10 months we've been apart. But we're battle hardened and battle tested because I was in the Navy for 20 years and made 6 deployments. So we're used to that. You know, we just didn't think it would take that long. But now she only sits 2 kilometers away from me over here in a hotel in Binondo. And I've been over there 3 times already, bringing her food and brought her a laptop and all kinds of stuff. But I got to pass it off in the lobby to some Yahoo that works there. And I give them 100 pesos or whatever. And they'll, you know, I don't have to, but they're all too happy to take it up and give it to her. But here's something weird. She asked them, she called down the lobby, hey, because it's 600 pesos a day to get 4 meals, allegedly, in this hotel. Okay. She had to pre-book her hotel before she left the state. She had to prove that before she got on the plane in Houston. And she's only paying, $32 a day. So she had to pay like $330 for 10 days.
Yeah.
And it's a nice hotel. It's Red Planet. And that was the place we stayed when we first arrived in April of 2019. Well, the food is not included. Some hotels, like the Heritage up on Rojas Boulevard near the VA clinic, that's $100 a night and 3 meals are included. Here's the problem. A lot of times the food absolutely sucks, even for a Filipino. She goes, this shit's disgusting. So she, and I'd already brought her something, but she called and she wanted some Filipino food like dinuguan or kari or tinola or something, adobo, whatever, and rice. And she didn't want to make me bring that. And so she called down the lobby, hey, can somebody pick me up some food from a local restaurant here? And nope, they can't do it. They're not allowed to do it. But they let me pass food off to them to bring up to her. So
every hotel is different.
Be prepared for those strangest things. That's all I can tell you.
I agree, and that's why, you know, we're scenario. We're lucky that our lease that we're on here in Hawaii is month to month because I have military retirement orders, and so I only have to give them 28 days notice. I hate to do that to them, but with COVID, there's not much I can do, and I'm making my assessments month by month, and I might not To be honest with you, if this isn't changed, I mean, I won't fly on August 5th. If on, let's say, July 5th, they haven't created a green lane, or if you're vaccinated, you can come in with your, Filipino family or something. If it stays like it is now, it's too iffy, and I probably won't come August 5th, and I'll wait for, another month. And so I'll just play it month to month, and I guess it is what it is. But yeah, I agree. I think you said his name was Tim. I mean, you better be flexible, and it is what it is. It's looking positive, but shit, you never know.
Yeah, she's got. Go ahead.
By that, everything you've experienced that you're saying, it's still subject to change. That's what people got to keep in mind.
That's what I say. Whatever knowledge that you're armed with when you lay your head down to sleep, when you wake up, do not be surprised if something changed. It just is what it is. And it's been ongoing ever since the outbreak occurred. Every other day, something, oh, well, I can do this now. And then you jump through a bunch of hoops to do it and find out, what do you mean I can't do that? When did that happen? The morning you woke up and didn't check in on the latest and greatest news and whatever information has been put out there. Very difficult. So you gotta keep your ear to the grinder and be flexible and be prepared. I think Ray's got both her shots. She got both her shots in Texas at the VA. And when she got here, they didn't give one crap iota about it. So we don't give a shit about that.
I know.
Fill out all this paperwork and you're going to your hotel in quarantine, not taxi. They've got what did she say? She couldn't remember because she was so dogged out from jet lag from the long flight. She hardly slept. They didn't serve. So they didn't serve food on United from Houston to Honolulu, a 7-hour flight. They didn't serve food from Honolulu to Guam, an 8-hour flight. But then from Guam to Manila, a 2.5-hour flight, they served food. All on United. Go figure it out. Figure it out.
Food. Put an MRE or something inside. Yep.
Bring you some jerky and all that other kind of crap. So yeah, she when you get there, she couldn't remember how many, but there were several van shuttle services. Not. I think some hotels might provide it. They're bigger, more expensive, fancier ones. But for the most part, you're not climbing in a taxi. Nobody can meet you. You're getting in a shuttle van, and you can go 2 kilometers or you can go 20 kilometers, wherever your hotel is. It's 1,000 pesos. 1,000 pesos, what would normally cost, let's see, from the airport down to Binondo here, it should have costed her somewhere in the range of, let's just say 250, maybe 300 with a tip. 5,000 pesos. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So it's a big money grab shit. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. You're right. It's all good advice.
Well, I don't plan on spending winter here, though. I'll go anywhere.
Yeah, what we plan on doing is what Inspired is going to do. We sell our house in July, and then we're going to just wait to see. And our goal is to be there in September. And hopefully, if things don't level out nicely and easily, then we'll wait until October.
You know what's a pain in the ass here for me is I'm waiting on the bank to take it, and they won't take it. I'm like, it's been, I've been out of work for a year. I had to retire, but I've been through this before, and I'm like, when are they going to send the notice so I can get rid of this place? And not have my son have to do it through a attorney type of thing. But good old Biden there, he keeps forgetting they keep extending this loan forgiveness thing, and I don't need it. I don't want it.
Eddie popped up in the window. Eddie, you got anything you want to chime in on?
I'm not sure. Can you guys even hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we hear you great.
Sweet. I've been having a hard time with my mic, but yeah, I agree with you. That's why first thing when I wake up in the morning, I check the Bureau of Immigration page on Facebook, and I'll check it 3-4 times a day after that. Like anytime I have a break at work, I'll check it, make sure something hasn't freaking changed again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has, and it will.
Oh, no kidding. I remember back when all this travel bans and everything started, the whole fiasco started. I remember one time in the morning it changed, and it changed another 2 times throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, make up your freaking mind. You know?
That's why I told my wife to, yesterday we packed a bunch of Balak Bayan boxes, and I said, listen, put anything you want right away in the Philippines into these boxes now, and let's ship them now. And they should be there if you ship them this week by around 5 August. And that way, when we go, you only got to bring maybe one luggage with you instead of, trying to pay for 2 and do all this other stuff. And, it's just best to travel light because you don't know what you don't know.
Now that you mentioned the travel thing, it reminded me of I was 2 kilos over on it cost me $50 each way. What people don't realize, international, you get 50 pounds, and I don't know what in the carry-on, but over there you get 11 kilo carry-on and 22. It's like 40, come to 48.
Yeah, you got to.
They don't tell you that.
You got to match the smaller amount.
Well, I found out the hard way. Well, I was there, so I had money, so I wasn't that big of a deal. But it cost me an extra $50 going and coming.
And we're in the same boat as Inspired is. I told Lorelai the other day exactly the same thing. Now, granted, I told her, so we're going to take, since what we've been looking at with the recent airline tickets is no longer do you get two 50-pound checked bags. Now they only want to give you one and charge you $100 for the other. And I told her it'd be cheaper to do the Balak Bayan box, load it as heavy as you want, send it early, so it's there for us.
Yeah, I'm getting my boxes for $75 a box, large box, the biggest one.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got more than I realized I had. And
I just received two Balak Bayan boxes on the 18th.
good.
That Ray sent from Amarillo, Texas, on March 12th. So from March 12th to May 18th, and they just showed up the 18th this month. So that was cool. What I would recommend, now she brought two full pieces of luggage, just absolutely blistered, packed up to 50 pounds, plus her carry-ons and all that. And then I have a buddy of mine that lives up in Pampanga, and while she was in the U.S., through his shopping cart, he ordered a whole bunch of crap from the Navy Exchange and from Manscaped and just things that he really wanted that he couldn't get here. And he spent a little more than $800. Gave her $100 for her effort for everything coming to the house over about a month and a half period to my daughter's address where my wife was staying all this time, and $200 that he had to pay for that extra 50-pound piece of luggage. So that really made 3 for her 2 that she gets on United, and then the other one, $200 for that 50-pound piece of luggage with all his stuff in it. And she even had to put a couple extra things in one of her other pieces of luggage. But yep, he gave me $1,150 cash.
Wow.
US dollars. That's how bad he wanted this stuff. And he just picked it up yesterday because he had to come down from Angeles to the VA to get his second COVID test. And he had his driver swing over here to my house and boom, made the exchange, gave it to him, and he's gone. So we go up there every once in a while when we're allowed to get out of Manila and hang out with him. But that just gives you an idea of what it costs to ship something extra on a plane.
If anybody ever sends anything through the mail, you got to list it as a minute amount of money because you got to pay to pick that up according to what the person put on the package. I don't know what the rates are there, but it isn't like mail here where you get it. You got to get it.
What are you talking about mail? I'm sorry. What are you talking about mail?
Through the regular mail system. You send it through the United States Post Office, and once it leaves the country here, it's not covered.
Well, you can't send anything internationally over 4 pounds anyway, unless you're going through a private courier like DHL or something like that.
No, I'm just talking like a shaving trim kit or something or other. And then you got to have that voltage converter too for the electricity.
Yeah, do not bring any any electronics outside of your phones and your laptop. Do not bring any appliances, nothing. You're a fool if you do. They have everything here pretty much that they have in the States. So to bring anything kitchen wise or electronics or tools, forget it. You're just going to have one big headache. You're not going to like
that's
yourself.
Another thing, you gotta keep. I have my computer, my cameras. You have to, if you have an ion lithium battery, you got to have that in your carry-on because it will not store it underneath.
Correct.
So,
and I recommend that if you're going to ship stuff in bulk buy-in boxes, because this is the third shipment we've gotten. We sent 3 boxes ourselves like a week before we left back in 2019, and they all got here in 58 days, no problem. My daughter sent 2, and now I just got 2 from Ray's 9 months that she was stuck in the States. So here's what I would do, because you don't know what's going to change. You don't know what your itinerary, you don't know what Philippine government's going to do. Rather than send them boxes ahead of time, I would recommend that you make the boxes up, have them ready. Always include on the inside before you seal it up a supplemental paper to and from with phone numbers. But
Yeah.
I would have those boxes sealed up and ready to go. And I would try to get somebody that you absolutely trust that can storage those boxes for you until you actually get to your destination here. Then give them the green light and tell them to pull the trigger and send it. Of course, give them the money to ship it. Find out roughly what it costs. But that's what I would do, because if you send boxes with some expensive things in it, laptops or whatever, because a lot of people do that. And these companies are very competitive. They're getting really, really good now. All these shipping companies with bulk buy-in boxes are getting really good. You can track them online, everything. So I would, if you find out in transit, you get turned around or something happens, boom, your bulk buy-in boxes show up here, but now you're back in the States still waiting for a green light to get on the plane to come here or whatever. That's what I would do.
for me,
that's exactly what we're doing. We,
my wife is there already.
yeah, we're leaving the boxes with a friend. We're going to ship 2 as we leave to get there maybe within a month or so after we're there. But the rest of them will wait until we get a permanent address and have it shipped over.
I mean, obviously, if your wife is already here, or somebody where the boxes are being addressed to here is someone you trust within her family or whatever, but that's a decision you're going to have to make. But if you're unsure, or if you don't have somebody necessarily that you can absolutely trust, then I would go the other route, and I would not have those boxes shipped until I got to where I'm going. And even then, it's going to take at the worst 2.5, 3 months. That's at the worst. Should get here in about 2 months. That's just my personal recommendation.
Well, let me ask, how much is everybody paying for their boxes? In Arkansas, it's more expensive.
It depends where you are, how close you are to port of debarkation, and your hubs are going to be your LA's, Seattle, Frisco, Houston, Miami, New York, places like that. The closer you are to those hubs, the cheaper it is. The further out you are, the more you're going to pay in 2 ways. Either you're going to pay a shit ton in gas to take them to the nearest port of debarkation yourself, or you're just going to pay extra handling fees because there's going to be several middlemen. Here's an example. In Amarillo, when we ship boxes from there, somebody comes and picks them up, and they go around like once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on how many calls they have.
Yep.
So there's this couple that have this business, strictly bulk buy-in boxes. They will transport them to Lubbock, which is straight south. Straight south, 2 hours away. They drop them off at a little Filipino food grocery store. They get pickup once a week from some Yahoo that comes through there that's already collected from a couple other small towns in Texas, consolidates them. He takes them down to Dallas. Dallas collects them, and they're getting influx from other hubs coming in and around Dallas, and they put them on a bigger truck, and they take them down to Houston.
Yeah.
All along the way, you're paying for that, but your choice is pay the gas and make the 10-hour 11-hour trip from Amarillo down to Houston yourself, there and back. So it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. So what should have costed $70 from Amarillo costs $120 to ship a box because there's so many middlemen to get it down to Houston.
Mine here from Wisconsin cost $75.
Yeah, mine's about 90 for multiple boxes.
It just depends where it's coming from, correct?
But I do.
And all the advice he just gave is right, because I'm in Hawaii and you would think I'm much closer, but my stuff's got to go back to California and then go, because you can't ship stuff internationally direct from here because everybody wants to make a buck and they don't like Hawaii. So long story short, I end up paying $90 from Hawaii.
I think
That's correct.
And I pay $8 a box where you only paid $5.
I think mine go to Chicago first.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I mean. The last time we were in Houston, I stopped and checked, and it was $60 in Houston. I'm like, ooh, but you know, my buddy Mark is one of those guys that has that business, and what he does is he meets the Atlas truck. You know, they got a scheduled time. He does exactly his weekly things. Then they coordinate and meet, and the Atlas guy comes and picks it up at a truck stop.
That's right. I just got my 2 boxes from Atlas. But here's the thing. If she would have drove them down to Houston, 11 hours drive, one way, the gas it would have taken her, because she's got to use a truck because these boxes are big, and my daughter's got a big V8 pickup truck, a Lincoln. The gas it would have taken her there and back, and probably would have had to hotel it or something. So you got to factor that in. I don't think she's going to turn around and drive 22 hours straight without no rest, versus, you know, going all the way down and paying $60 or $70 a box. Good deal. Sounds great. But if you were to take them yourself just to make that payment, you'd already spent that in gas. So
no, it's worth the extra handling fees. It's just the way it is. And that's
yeah, they know, the companies know where you're at and what situation you're in. Hey, you can let us take it for you, or you haul the shit down there yourself. It's up to you. So they know if you're between a rock and a hard place. They know.
I used a whole roll of duct tape on my box, man. I got that thing wrapped up like a mummy.
Yeah, you actually want to use Gorilla or duct tape, and you want to tape all the corners where all the sides meet, everything, and then try to get, you know, if you can't get clear, plain sided boxes, but because they got their Atlas logos on it, all that crap, just get a blank piece of paper, address it very legible, put it on all 4 sides and maybe even one on the top, and again a supplemental one on the inside before you seal it up, and then take the wide strip, wide band clear tape and tape over that paper that's on the box, so that the address doesn't get smudged from inclement weather or this or that, and usually you're in good shape, no problem.
I did that the first time. I got the lady I'm getting them through is a friend of my wife's, and those boxes come with barcode tags on them.
Yes, everything's trackable. The only time you're not going to track it, and when it's actually on the ocean, coming by freighter,
well,
you're not going to know specifically where it is on the ocean. But once it leaves a point of debarkation and to the next point, or whatever, once it leaves your house, you can track it until the final destination. And they'll even send you emails saying your shipment is expected to arrive on. Ours was May 24th, and Ray told me that. She goes, I just got an email. They said the boxes will be there May 24th. I'm like, okay, cool. They showed up May 18th, much to my surprise.
The thing I was talking about before with sending something through the mail, like a razor trimmer or whatever. The guy, when he went to pick it up at the post office, he had to pay on that package based on how much that the package was worth. That's
called customs. That's correct.
Yeah.
Import tariff. And that's just silly to send stuff through the international mail here.
Yeah.
The mail here is so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. It used to be okay. I could get a letter from the U.S. through international mail channels here through the Philippine Post system. Within like 3 weeks at the very worst. Normally it was 10 days to 2 weeks. Okay, no problem. Ever since the pandemic set in, Now, well, I don't anymore because I have a Fleet post office box that I opened up in Angeles, and my
I was
buddy
just gonna
has
ask you
access
about
to my
that. So-
mail.
so
Yeah, I gave my
that
in
lady.
writing. I gave my buddy up there permission to claim my mail, and he'll claim it, and it'll just be piece of crap from Wells Fargo talking about some program. If you just kind of like junk mail, but it's first class mail. He'll open it, take a picture of it, and ask me what I want to do with it. I said, just throw it away. I don't need that. That's
Where's
crap.
the-
Or like yesterday when I gave him his stuff that Ray bought for him in the States, he brought me mail that I currently had, including my new bank card because I had to get rid of my old one. It was like just the magnetic strip was decrepitated. He sat on that, kept it in a safe at his house for 2 months. It's been up there that long, but I didn't need it because I have a separate account for Wells Fargo also. So that being said, now the mail was taken, 4.5 to 6 months for a first class letter to get here. That's how bad it's gotten here. Why? Because of the pandemic. Not as many postal workers, not as much transportation, lockdowns, this, that. Very, very difficult. So I would not use international mail for anything that's important to you. Anything.
There's I forget what the company was, but a friend of mine had told me about it. I think it's $100 a year, and the mail. You can't have a PO box, but the mail goes to this company, and they show it to you, and then you can just destroy it after that.
I'm not sure what that is.
No,
But if you're prior military, you can open up an FPO box, which is same as having a U.S. address. Now mail gets first class, and that's all you're allowed to send is letter mail, flats, newspapers, and magazines. No merchandise of any kind, and prescription medicine. You can do that, and you rent the post office box out through the VFW, and it's nominal. It's like, man, it's stupid. It's like, I don't know, 400 pesos for 6 months or whatever it is. And they've got 9 satellite offices around. They've got one in Olongapo. They got one here in Manila. They've got everywhere, in different islands too. And it moves just like regular U.S. mail. It's an agreement that the Philippine government has set up with retirees in the retired community here. So if you're retired military, that's a good idea, good option for you.
Inspired, what were you going to say about that?
No, I was just, as he was talking, I was going to ask him, did he have an FPO and what his thoughts were and was it worth it and should I get it, especially if I'm going to be in Davao. It's a little harder for them to get it. I've read a lot of the RAO websites about it. I just wanted his 2 cents on it.
Yes, get it. Absolutely get it. It'll be your name, Bob Schmuckatelli. And it's going to say PSC, which is Postal Service Center, 517, box 3873R, FPO AP, which is Armed Forces Pacific, and then a zip +4. It's just like sending a letter from Boston to New York. Done. It gets here in days, and I mean days. So yes, do not miss that opportunity if you're eligible.
That's nice.
Yeah, I wish I was like you and had a buddy up near there that could open it. Otherwise, you got to pay them to send you the mail, additional fee, which I'm not saying, that they won't do it or it's not worth the money. It's just.
You said you're going to Davao?
Yeah.
Well, have you reached out to the RAO in Angeles and asked them if they have one down there? That's a big expat community, and I would think they probably got one down there.
No, they don't.
They don't. Oh, well.
Said what they'll do is they'll take my mail and send it through the Philippine Postal, DHL, or whatever, and I have to have a separate account, and they will take pesos out of there whenever they forward me mail through the DHL or whatever that that the Philippines has their little courier system. I think it's not DHL.
They got LBC.
Yeah, like that.
They got LBC, JT Express. They got all kinds.
LBC,
if that's the only option you got, and mail coming from the U.S. is important to you for business correspondence or whatever, then I guess I can see that. But man, that sucks. That really sucks.
The reason why I really want is the bank cards. All the other shit, I got buddies in the States and friends that you order, like the other gentleman was talking about. There's services you can just pay and they'll scan the email and send you a copy of it. So all of that, I got family, friends. It's just the bank cards when you need it that I wish it was a little bit easier than, because I don't plan to live near an RAO, Davao. They used to have one, but they don't anymore. And so,
Then I would say that's a good option for you. Family or friends that you trust or whatever, that you that can get your mail for a while, if not indefinitely. Let them open it up, send you a picture of it, or whatever you guys hook up, or you can do FaceTime with them. No, I don't need that. That's junk. Throw that out, or whatever. Yeah, hold on to that. Send me take a picture of it and send it to me, or things like that. That would be the best way to go. If in the case of you needing a new bank card because yours is expiring or gets mutilated or whatever, then and only then would I use a private international courier service like a DHL or UPS or FedEx or something like that, just for those once in a blue moon occasional things. But to have your correspondence come here and then pay a Philippine courier to get it down to you, in my mind, that's bullshit. But it's your decision.
You also, for me, I had for banking and being able to see what's going on with my banking, find out whether your bank blocks IP addresses or not. If they don't, you can access that from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, or use a US IP.
Yeah,
I have online banking with Wells Fargo. I can check my accounts any minute, any second. I know all the activity, everything that's going on. And it's that simple. And before you leave, whatever bank you're going to still continue to use in the U.S., where your pension is going or whatever, wherever your monies are going, be sure and get with that bank and let them know that you are going to be traveling and living abroad. And don't just leave it to the Philippines, and don't just put 12 months or 5 years. Usually they all offer 25 years. Put that max on there, and then it'll allow you to list however many countries you want. So you think you're going to come here, and eventually, once the pandemic clears up, of course, and you're a traveler and you want to hop around to Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Japan, Hong Kong, whatever, all those places are listed on there. So for 25 years, so you're going to use your bank card for transactions, you're good to go. If you don't do that, they're gonna think they're protecting you, and they're gonna block your card, thinking that there's a fraud alert going, and you're gonna go through hell trying to get them to unlock that.
So here's what we're going to do. But first, let's say hi to Elma Montel TV. You're hanging in there. We appreciate you coming by. One thing I'm going to do is, since I'm not military, don't have those options, is I got a brother down in Dallas. He's going to become my permanent residence. And I'm going to have everything shipped to him. He'll process it, email me the documents. Now I am going to cut down and only change my address of the important things. So instead of everything in the world coming to him in my name, it'll be just financial records and those type of things. And then he can scan it in like Mailbox, etc. does for a fee and send it to me in an email. And then when we do bank cards, he'll just DHL them to us.
And make sure you do that when it comes to your tax records and things. Have a permanent address where all your shit's going to go in the U.S., and then your brother, your mother, your whatever can show you. You can see it. You can FaceTime together, and you can say, okay, do this, fill it out this way, or however you want to arrange it. But don't forget your taxes.
But the taxes you can do online. I do mine online now, so I'll be able to do those sitting in the Philippines.
But I'm saying correspondence relating to your taxes.
Right. And then we open a Charles Schwab account, and the Charles Schwab people will send me my bank cards directly to me anywhere in the world. That's part of their sales pitch. If it holds true, they will send it directly to me wherever I tell them to send it.
I've heard that happen before, where the guy had one chewed up or something, an ATM over there, and his bank here sent one to the bank he was banking with over there.
Yeah, just make sure with Charles Schwab that if you want to open it, you open it before you no longer have a U.S. address, because
Right.
they have a way to open, but it's not a Charles Schwab foreign account, but it's not the same benefits that you get as the U.S. one, and also the investments that if you like to play in the stock market. So you just make sure you open it up in the U.S. or have a U.S. address, and never say, "Oh, I live permanently in the Philippines," because that will throw up red flags to Charles Schwab.
I
And
have,
that's why we
I have
did
my
the
Social
US
Security online, and I'm wondering. Well, they said that they can monitor anytime I'm log on and off of there, and I'm wondering if if I can access that from over there also.
You can.
Yes, you can.
You can.
But they'll know that I'm over there though. I'm
So?
sure.
That doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I really don't want anybody knowing where I am all the time.
Well, somebody's going to have to know, at least,
My son.
someone in your life that's important, like wherever you get your pension from, or your bank back home, or the IRS. Some form of government entities are going to have to know that where you're at. Otherwise, you'll just be non-existent, I guess. And you don't want that.
If I die first, my second wife would help her out with where to go and what to do, because my wife there in the Philippines knows absolutely nothing about how things work here, period.
Well, and you also got to keep in mind, if you have any U.S. based credit cards, they won't ship cards to a foreign country. If they think you live outside of foreign country, your account will not be renewed. It will not be continued active.
Here's what my first trip, I didn't know nothing about, I brought my credit cards with me, and in Hong Kong, I said, I want to buy something at the airport. It goes through for one charge, but the second time it blocked it. And I thought, what the hell happened? And somebody told me about it. So, and subsequent visits, I put down the date, month I was going to be gone.
Yeah.
But with the cards I have now, they're going through the shredder. I won't need them anymore. Maybe one, that's about it.
Yeah, my personal take on that is I don't use credit cards here. I got rid of them all before I came over here. And I found I just don't need them. You just don't need them here.
Right.
And that's what banks and credit card companies do. They put out fraud detection alerts. It's already built into your account. You should remember that when you signed up, because you're supposed to provide a PIN or something, just in case. Because if your card gets blocked, they're going to call you, or you're going to call them and say, "Hey, what the hell? I went to make a $10 purchase at the grocery store here. Use my card at one of the Filipino major grocery stores, and it's blocked. I can't transfer money. I can't do nothing." And they're going to say, "Well, we detected some suspicious activity, but we can fix that for you, sir. What's your PIN?" And if you don't know it, you're screwed.
Another thing about cutting or shredding these things, I got a cross shredder, and you get one of those, and you put a credit card through there, it'll chop up into nothing.
Yeah.
Don't use the regular straight one. Use one that just disintegrates the shit out of them or burn them. Something.
Before you come over here and you do all those things about alerting your bank, "Hey, I'm traveling overseas. I'm going to be visiting these countries for the next 25 years. Okay, now that's on your record. They know that. So when you're making transactions here on your debit card or bank card, they already know that. Turn off all your paper invoices. You don't need none of that shit, because you can do online banking. You just don't need that.
Matter of fact, my bank, I just remembered it because you said that. Before I leave here, anywhere I am, I can activate or deactivate my debit card.
Right.
And
online banking's the way, and it's gonna.
All I got to do is remember that I did that.
Yeah, you definitely don't need any paper trails anywhere. You don't need paper documents anymore.
But, there's things there. There's things there for avenues to take care of things.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's a little bit after 6. I'm going to get off of here and go have dinner. But I thought I would propose some questions today and get a topic going. So you guys chiming in.
Take care. We'll see you later.
You got a good one going, and thanks for all these other fellows that are sharing their experiences.
And good luck to all of us, right?
Yeah. Well, Hopefully, we'll all be talking over there.
So we'll see you guys next time. Everybody take care.
Good night.
Peace
Dave.
out.